Okay, good afternoon this Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're doing okay and have a great week so far. We're in Parshas Toldos. We're going to learn a Rashi from the fourth Aliyah today, but looking a little bit more broadly at the Parsha as a whole. In this Aliyah, the fourth Aliyah, the Rashi we're going to look at is the bris that Yitzchak makes with Avimelech. But before we do that, I wanted to look back a little bit and just focus on something that I think is very commonly known, but worth investigating a little bit because I think it comes to bear exactly on the Rashi that we're going to see today. So we know from the very beginning of Parshas Toldos already that most of the things about Yitzchak's life are a repeat performance of the life of Avram Avinu in many ways. I mentioned this in passing on Monday in Rashi, but even taking a look back at the beginning of the Parsha, in the beginning of Parshas Toldos, there's a strange opening to the Parsha. Ela Toldos Yitzchak. These are the offspring of Yitzchak, ben Avraham, the son of Avraham. And then before telling us about the offspring of Yitzchak, or even about the life of Yitzchak, it repeats again, Avram holidus Yitzchak. Avram gave birth to Yitzchak. Well, we know that already. It says Yitzchak ben Avram. Yitzchak is the son of Avram. So, of course, Avram holidus Yitzchak. So this is redundant. And Rashi famously says, it says Avram holidus Yitzchak, adding that piece of the pasuk, because the scoffers of the generation were saying, Avimelech nisabra Sarah. It must be that when Avimelech took Sarah into his possession, that maybe the baby that Sarah had was a result of that relation. Because we know that many years Avram and Sarah were together, they never had children. Then the whole incident happens between Avimelech and Sarah. And we know also from the Smichas Parshios, which we read, the juxtaposition of the Parshios, we saw this Rashi at the time, that Hashem answers their prayers for a child after they daven for the well-being of Avimelech. So it's immediately following that incident that Sarah becomes pregnant. So it's logical that people might conclude that perhaps the baby was actually from Sarah and Avimelech. Therefore, to counter that presumption by the people of the generation, what does Hashem do? Tsar cluster panav domel Avram. He made Yitzchak look very similar in his physical appearance to Avram. So everyone will say, oh, Avram holiness Yitzchak, that Avram was the one who gave birth to Yitzchak. So it's not just that he's ben Avraham, that he's being raised by Avraham, that he's Avram's child, but he's actually biologically Avram's child as well. It was clear to everybody that they would exclaim, Avram holiness Yitzchak. That's the additional words in the pasuk over here. So we see, not only in terms of actions, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of beliefs, in terms of values, in terms of actions, are they similar? But Chazal craft the whole story of Yitzchak as even his physical features are the same as Avram. He's a replica. Tsar cluster panav. He created his face, domel Avram. Even his face was similar. He looked the same as Avram. It's a repeat performance through and through. That's how the whole parsha begins. Then just look in yesterday's Aliyah, today's Aliyah, Monday's Aliyah, over and over. We have different references to the fact that he's living in the shadow of Avram. In the Monday's Aliyah, Yitzchak, of course, goes to Grar. Before that, we know there's a Rav Ba'aretz. In Sunday's Aliyah, there's a famine in the land, just like there was a famine in the time of Avram. The pasuk explicitly says that. When he goes to Grar, he does exactly what Avram Avinu did in Mitzrayim, and in Grar, he lies about his wife, Pen Yarguni, Anshe Makom Rivka Kitovas Marei. She's very beautiful. They're going to kill me. She's my sister. Same thing as what happened with Avram. Then, of course, after that whole incident and everything that ensues from there, the Torah tells us again, after he's kicked out, essentially, of Grar, after Avimelech discovers everything that had happened, he kicks him out, he goes to dwell in Nachal Grar, the area near Grar, and he dwells over there. Vayashav Yitzchak, says the pasuk, Yitzchak returns, Vayachporas Beiros Hamayim, Asher Chafru B'Yimei Avraham Aviv. He goes to dig wells. What are the wells he digs? The exact wells that Avraham Avinu, his father, had dug. Why did he need to dig them again? Because the Plishtim had filled them in. Rashi says over here that they were worried about the marauding troops that would come through the area. If there was water, if there was wells, there would be an ability for them to be sustained, and the troops would come and would loot the area, defile the area, and therefore they didn't want troops coming through, so they filled in the wells. So now he comes back. He doesn't dig new wells. He goes back to the exact wells of Avram, and he digs them again. This is the third, fourth, fifth thing now in our parsha, which is reminiscent of the behaviors of Avram, tying Yitzchak to be a replica of Avraham. Then, of course, after this whole incident, Hayarivu ro'e Grar. Now the shepherds of Grar start to fight Yitzchak about these wells, and they start to dig other wells, and finally he digs his own well. But still, after all of this, Vayal Misham Beersheva. Where does he go back to when he feels unwelcome in this area of Grar? When he goes back to the territory of Israel proper, he goes back to Beersheva, the exact place where Avram dwelled. It's again repeating the life of Avraham. And then in Beersheva, Hashem appears to him. Vayira elav Hashem balaylahu vayomer Anochi Elokei Avram Avicha. When God appears to him, what does he say to him? He doesn't say, "Hi, I'm God. Here I am. I'm your God." No, I'm the God of Avram, your father. Again, everything is being cast as a replica of the life of Avram Avinu. And what does he do in response to this dream, this prophecy, this appearance of Hashem? Vayiven Shem Mizbeach, Vayikra b'Shem Hashem. He builds a Mizbeach and he calls out in God's name. Exactly what Avram Avinu did when he built his Mizbeach. Okay, following on all of that, Avimelech comes back to Yitzchak after he leaves Gra and goes back to Beersheba. Avimelech comes to make a bris with Yitzchak. By the way, that's also reminiscent of the life of Avram. Avimelech made the bris with Avram when he knew he was going to have progeny, he knew he was going to have children. Now he sees Yitzchak is very successful. Now he sees that they had a fight, that he went away, that there was tension between them. He wants to smooth things over, and therefore he creates a new bris, a new covenant. Again, a replica of Avram. What happens then? Vayomru, they say to him, Ra'o Ra'inu, we saw, Ki haya Hashem imach, because God was with you. You were very successful. Vanomer, Tihi na Allah beinosenu uveinenu uveinecha. There should be an oath between us and between you. V'nichrusta bris imach, and let's make a bris. Let's make a covenant between us. So look at what Rashi says here. This Rashi that I want to show you is really the culmination of everything I've showed you today. Ra'o Ra'inu. There's a double language here. We have surely seen. It's usually what double language means in the Torah. But every double language hints us to another layer of meaning in the pasuk. So when Avimelech and his entourage say to Yitzchak, we have seen, they say, Ra'o Ra'inu. We have seen twice how successful, how blessed you are. Therefore, we want to make a covenant. What's double language? Ra'o Ra'inu. Ra'inu be'avicha, Ra'inu b'cha. Rashi goes right back to that comfortable space. We've seen 10, 12 examples so far of how everything in this story is a repeat of the life of Avram Avinu. So now, in the culmination of the story, when Avimelech makes the bris, and him and his entourage say, Ra'o, Ra'inu, we have seen and seen your success, Rashi immediately pipes in and says, what are the two Ra'inus? We see it in you, and we saw the success in the life of your father. And that leads us to want to make the bris. This Rashi confirms everything we've seen in the psukim coming up to this point. We do see Yitzchak go in his own direction, and there's much to say about what he does on his own and why he seems to be very much a repeat of Avram for most of his life, but perhaps that's a share for another time. Take care and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you,
Everybody
Rabbi.
have a good
Thank you,
day.
Rabbi.
Thank you.
Have a good